They thought they were clever, building castles of deceit on the soil you had already mapped out. They walked around with smug confidence, whispering behind your back as if your ears hadn't been trained for subtext to catch what was never said aloud. But you heard everything, you felt every tremor, and you understood it all before it happened. This isn't fantasy. This isn't mysticism wrapped in metaphor. This is the most dangerous form of high clarity you'll ever experience. Your third eye doesn't just see what's in front of you, it sees what's beneath everything. It's the door to the unconscious, the gateway to what lies beneath the mask, beneath the ego, beneath the persona. You didn't stay silent out of fear or weakness. You waited because a genius has patience. You waited like a master waits for the last piece of the pattern to fall. They assumed their games were beneath your radar, but your mind was orbiting their entire operation. That's the mark of a powerful mind. It doesn't argue, it observes. It doesn't panic, it plans. True intelligence doesn't make noise. It simply knows. And knowing is the most terrifying weapon in a world that thrives on illusion. When you see through people faster than they can fabricate, you don't argue. You calculate. You don't need to react. You design consequences. Before we continue, please take a moment to support the channel. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to continue your journey of self-mastery and wisdom. I'm grateful to everyone who has walked this journey with me. Now, let's dive in. They called it the third eye, not because it's imaginary, but because it sees what regular vision can't. It sees the unseen, the symbolic, the spiritual. It governs not what you see, but how deeply you understand what you're seeing. It doesn't awaken with effort, but with alignment with your deeper self, and not with struggle, but with presence. It doesn't come with fireworks, or it doesn't announce itself with drama. There's no voice in your head whispering ancient secrets. It's just a subtle but irreversible shift. And once it happens, you don't think, you can't always explain it. But your intuition starts speaking louder than your logic ever could. It's like your intuition got a microphone. You walk into a room and instantly feel the energy shift. Then, without a sound, your soul whispers, "Something here isn't right." You recognize dishonesty even when it's cloaked in the finest smile. You sense strain between people pretending to be friends. You feel manipulation before it even manifests. Someone lies to you, and though their words sound perfect, something inside you winces. This isn't guessing. This is deep perception rising from the subconscious. You were always aware of their games. Even when they thought they were clever, you caught the flicker in their eye and the memory they rewrote to make you doubt your own. You recorded it, not with a device, but with cognitive precision. You took mental screenshots with timestamps and emotional fingerprints. And when the moment came, you didn't retaliate. You disconnected with surgical precision. It's not magic, it's hyper-perception, a deep inner knowing that doesn't just process facts, it reads frequencies. That's what they didn't anticipate. You weren't playing their game. You were redesigning the entire structure they mistook for control, quietly reshaping the field until every move they made only brought your vision closer to reality. Your silence wasn't surrender. It was a strategy. You were laying down the exit path brick by brick, and now all that's left is the aftermath. That's the silent power of a new reality you built from the wreckage of their deception. When your inner awareness awakens, things shift. You stop getting triggered by nonsense suddenly. The people who once unsettled you now seem insignificant. Your responses come from awareness, not anger, because now you've become discerning. You recognize them for what they are, just noise. The world may grow louder, but you go deeper. You didn't just observe actions, you grasped motives. That kind of perception is disarming. You saw the roots behind the behavior. Manipulation born from insecurity, jealousy disguised as encouragement, and envy hidden in politeness. You weren't fooled by their performance because you understood the structure behind it. Instead of striking, you stepped back and allowed the decay to reveal itself naturally. That's not just intelligence, it's sharp, restrained clarity. People fear what they can't predict, and your intellect made you unpredictable, not because you were erratic, but because you were precise, methodical. While they showed their cards, you played an entirely different game. You weren't chasing validation, you were quietly constructing a fortress of insight, while others merely acted capable. But here's the hard truth. When that eye begins to flicker open, it's not comfortable, it's not soft or cozy. It doesn't show you beauty first, it shows you truth. And that truth burns away illusions. It exposes fake friends. It confronts you with your own shadow, the parts of yourself you denied for years. And once that happens, you can't unsee the roles people play. You can't pretend anymore when jokes mask bitterness, when relationships are rooted in manipulation, when your silence was bought with emotional bargaining. You stop lying to yourself just to maintain peace. This is not some aesthetic, soft, spiritual awakening. It's spiritual surgery. It cuts through ego delusion, victimhood, and false self-perception to expose what's real. And yes, it hurts, but it also sets you free. Because when you see clearly, you stop pleading, stop chasing, stop shrinking to fit. You don't just react, but respond with intention. You don't follow, you lead. You no longer question your value because clarity has rooted you in truth, and now you know who you are. The third eye doesn't grant you superpowers, it grants you sacred vision. And that's far more potent than any illusion this world can offer. You're no longer drawn to superficiality. Your soul has tuned in, and now it refuses to settle for anything shallow. You didn't retaliate, you recorded. You didn't plead, you observed. You didn't destroy them, you let their behavior do the heavy lifting. That's high-level revenge. That's the kind of intelligence that doesn't need fireworks, only time and truth. They weren't built for the long game. Lies exhaust themselves quickly, but the truth endures, and you endured beyond the disguise. They were desperate to cast you as the villain, but when you refused to play the part, they had no choice but to wear the mask themselves. That's the power that moves in silence, in strategy, in peace.